Predator Badlands is the latest in Dan Trachtenberg's revival of a once tainted franchise. But unlike certain other fallen Hollywood figures, this Predator actually deserves its comeback. All jokes aside, Trachtenberg's take on Predator has been a breath of fresh air in the blockbuster space. In an era where franchises are scrambling to win back audience trust, Predator feels like it's already in its redemption arc. Trachtenberg's first film in the franchise, Prey, was exciting, stripping the series back to its primal roots, while telling a lean, grounded story in a completely new setting. Killer of Killers pushed that idea further through animation, pitting the Predator against warriors from across history. And now, while Badlands loses a bit of that grit and gory edge that the franchise is celebrated for, it continues Trachtenberg's streak, evolving the franchise while keeping its core spirit intact. At this point, it's safe to say that Trachtenberg sits pretty comfortably on the Predator throne. Long may he reign. What stands out the most about Badlands is just how much the filmmakers care. The attention to detail, from the costume design and creature effects to the rich, lived-in environment where the film is set, is some of the best this series has ever seen. There's creativity everywhere, yet it all feels grounded in what made Predator special in the first place. That blending of action with horror, memorable creature design, and engaging themes of survival and masculinity is present throughout Badlands. I'll admit, I'm not a lifelong fan. I've seen the original and Trachtenberg's new films, but even from that limited perspective, it's clear there's a genuine respect for legacy paired with a desire to evolve. That evolution comes through the story itself. This time, the Predator isn't the monster in the shadows. He's the hero. It's a pretty bold shift, especially given how famously unappealing the design still is.
You one ugly motherfucker.
But somehow it works. The film reframes this Predator as an outcast, the runt of his clan, giving him a surprisingly human arc to prove his worth. It's an underdog story told through the eyes of a creature we've always feared, and that inversion gives Badlands a pulse that's both strange and compelling. It adds depth and humanity to what has always been a brutal and unforgiving monster. His unlikely companion is Elle Fanning's disemboweled synthetic human, whose fractured body mirrors her fractured sense of identity. The two form this unexpectedly endearing duo. The Predator is stoic and literal, while Fanning brings warmth and dry wit. Their chemistry very similar to something like Drax and Rockets from the Guardians films. Their dynamic adds humour and heart, giving the film its emotional centre without undercutting the brutality of this world. It didn't feel unbelievable for a Predator, a classic lone wolf, to grow a bond with other outcasts. It's a tricky balancing act to attempt, but Trachtenberg understands how to navigate it. There's just enough heart while also having the Predator being an unforgiving killing machine. The score deserves a shout out too, because early on, it's incredible. Otherworldly drones and dissonant rhythms that sound alien in the best way. It captures the Predator's way of life, their raw, animalistic energy, perfectly. But as the film goes on, it sadly slides back into more familiar action cues and instruments, losing that eerie edge that made the opening so special. As for the action itself, it is a mixed bag. The choreography and creature designs are fantastic. They're inventive, tactile, and full of personality. But the camera work sometimes just lets it all down. Too often, there's just too many close-ups and too much shaky movement. You kind of just lose sense of geography in the chaos. There are a few Predator-on-Predator action scenes in the film, and sometimes in the chaotic camera work, it becomes just nearly impossible to tell who was who. It's not bad, it's just frustrating when you can tell the ideas behind it are great. And yes, the violence is there, but it's definitely been dialed back. Limbs fly, sure, there's synthetic blood and guts, but there's a lack of real blood or impact that just dulls the weight. There's no actual human in this film, and it kind of shows. It's a teenager-friendly Predator, don't take that out of context. And while that keeps the rating accessible, it also robs a few fights of the series' signature intensity. On top of that are the villains. They're the weakest link. They're serviceable, but forgettable. They feel like placeholders, rather than an intimidating presence. When you make your monster the protagonist, you kind of need antagonists that can match the level of intrigue, and Badlands doesn't quite find them. Visually though, the film is stunning. Even when the CGI slips into Uncanny Valley, mainly when Fanning's half-body rides the Predator through chaotic action, the ambition is undeniable. It's clear every frame was crafted with love and they're stretching the budget to its absolute limit. There are also some interesting Easter eggs that I won't spoil as I don't think they're in the trailers, but it does raise some interesting questions about where this franchise is going and is handled incredibly smartly, at least when compared to how other franchises handle references. It definitely raised my interest levels for the future of the franchise, and I'm really curious how they're going to handle it. It's not something they can just shrug off and ignore, and if they do, I'll be disappointed. In the end, Predator Badlands might not be the bloodiest or the most intense of the franchise, but it's one of the most heartfelt. It turns a hunter into a hero, a monster into a mirror, and somehow makes it work. There are still rough edges, but Trachtenberg's trilogy feels like the blueprint for how to revive old IP. Respect the past, but don't be afraid to evolve. I've been consistently impressed with how Trachtenberg has handled this universe, and if the next phase of Predator keeps this momentum, the future looks bright. But those are just my thoughts. Now I want to hear yours. Have you seen Predator Badlands? What did you think? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next one.